Hello and welcome to the June edition of Bright Side of the Road. And right now the Irish Cultural Centre at Hammersmith is so full that we can't get in. We're here at the Duke of Cornwall, round the corner on Fulham Palace Road. As many of you may know, there's an election going on, and we are delighted to welcome our local MP, Andy.
Not an MP, candidate.
And we are delighted to welcome our local candidate, Andy Slaughter. Andy, welcome to Bright Side of the Road.
Lovely to be here. I'm one of 8 for this seat. I'm one of thousands around the country. But don't worry, it'll all be over in a couple of weeks.
Andy, you have been the MP here recently, and you know the neighbourhood, you know the borough like the back of your hand. And you also particularly understand the contribution that Irish people have made to West London and Hammersmith and Fulham in particular.
Yeah, it's true. I'm 4th generation in the borough, 4th generation watching Fulham Football Club. And I've lived in Shepherd's Bush the last 25 years, and I've been the MP. I've been an MP since about 2005. But my association with the Irish community goes back long before that. I was 20 years a councillor, lead and deputy leader of the council when we built the first Irish Cultural Centre in the borough. But Irish community has been a huge part of life here for as long as longer than I can remember, and I'm getting on. So, yeah, and you can argue the figures every way you want to, but it's always in the top 3. Hammersmith is always in the top 3 for whether you say it's people born on the island of Ireland, people identify as Irish, whatever. It's certainly one of the centres of the diaspora community anywhere in Britain.
And the Irish, particularly to West London, have brought so much, whether it was building the canals, building the roads, building the railways. We've talked already a little bit about the music that's been brought to the borough by the likes of Irish Heritage.
Yeah.
What's your first memory of Irish culture in West London?
Well, it's there. From when I was growing up and going to school, I had influence in my own family, both orange and green, and certainly as soon as I went into public life, But those were the days. I'm going back to the 80s now, when I can remember going and watching the Pogues at either at the Odeon or at the Palais when that was still going here, and they were just really good times. And I think I wouldn't say it's maybe unique, but what Irish culture in the borough is both. It's a standout, but it's also completely integrated. It's a natural part, and that's what the ICC represents. Every possible manifestation of arts and culture of Ireland, but with everybody, whatever their background, being welcome to join in.
Does the Irish vote go in any particular direction?
I thought about that, and some people say, Irish people vote Labour, don't they? And I know a lot of Irish Tories. Some of them very nice people.
Would you kiss them?
At least the Irish half. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure it does, because you can't generalise about people. Irish people come from every different type of background: socially conservative, revolutionary. If there was a trend towards voting Labour, I guess it has more to do with discrimination, which we have to say was a big feature of diaspora community when they came here, as it was for many other ethnicities. Poverty. Irish people tend to be poorer, to live in worse conditions, whether it's private, rented, or what have you, and therefore a pull more towards the left and towards the Labour Party. But I don't think it's any more than that, if I'm honest, other than, of course, Irish people are very discriminating and sensible and intellectual, and therefore would choose the Labour Party as
in your years as first a councillor, deputy leader of the council, and an MP here, what kind of events have you been to that you've represented the Irish people?
Well, that's what I say. And that's why I just go. I don't want to bore you with a lot of history, but when we decided, first of all, to build the original Irish Centre, which the current one is on the site of, it's because we didn't feel we felt there was so much Irish culture to express itself locally, and there wasn't a venue. And we were jealous that other parts of London, other parts of the country had that. And that was not one thing. It wasn't just music. It wasn't just theatre. It wasn't just poetry. It wasn't just politics. It was about everything, and it was a manifestation. And over the years, we have had, Ros, a lot of this is down to Ros and to all the others who have helped run that centre over the years. Some of the biggest names in politics, in culture, in the arts generally here, and so what we're very proud of, I think, is providing that platform, and then get on with it, and then look what we've reaped from that, from that tiny investment really in building the centre. We've become a centre, a flagship,
a national flagship. I mean, the time 1995 when the Irish Cultural Centre was built and opened by Hammersmith and Fulham Council, there were no Irish art centres in Britain at all. It was the first one. We turned it into an art centre. We got the greatest artists, literature, writers, painters. And after that, the other Irish centres around the country started following that template. So it's really down to Hammersmith.
Yeah, and success has a lot of, as you know, a lot of parents, and everybody will now claim that they were the visionary who saw this happening. Let's be under no illusion. It's people like Ross, people like Peter, who's the current chairman, people like William, who's the current centre manager, who have made it work. But the seed of that came from both certain individuals in the community here, Councillor Sean Redding, Ian Coleman, who was the leader of the council then, before I was, who
Mary
really
Walker
wanted to see this through. And it takes a lot of investment and time and commitment, and there was hostility to it as well. Why is the council spending our ratepayers' money on this sort of thing in that way? But also, as I think I heard mentioned earlier, you cannot underestimate the support that you get from the Irish Embassy and the Irish government here. It wouldn't have happened without that. And, I've been privileged to know a succession of fantastic ambassadors here who've not just visited, brought the Taoiseachs over. It was opened by Dick Spring, originally the original centre, and presidents. And, when I look at your trustees, Ross, I mean, God, anybody would be proud of that. The National Theatre hasn't got a list as strong as that.
We've got Fergal Keane, Edna O'Brien, we've got wonderful Ardlo Hanlon, we've got great Adrian Zumbar, we've got great trustees.
It's a list not just of the Irish great and good, it's a list of the great and good anywhere, isn't it? I just think, despite all the injustices and torments of hundreds of years, the British and Irish populations are so interwoven here that if you can bring the best of that out of it, and a large tribute to that goes to Irish people and also their representatives. Like they have good and bad politicians as we do here, but when it works, it is a fantastic. It's a forgiving. It's looking for the positive all the time, and it's and I often say that most other countries could learn a huge amount from the Irish diplomatic corps. Ireland punches so much above its weight as a country in the world, in the UN, in Europe, but also in the UK. And of course, the most recent disaster of Brexit. And how no country is more disadvantaged. Well, actually, no country is more disadvantaged than the UK, but after that, Ireland. And yet, the Irish government, successive Irish governments, have risen to that challenge and said, "Look, we're still going to make the best of it until you come to your senses," which we will do eventually.
Yeah.
But before we let you go, Andy. A lot of it, what's it like actually campaigning? What's this period like, the 6 weeks? What's it like for you as a person, this 6 week period leading into an election? I mean, are you 24/7? Do you get any sleep?
Well, I don't want to give away any secrets of the campaign. You do the tube station from about 7, then you go and do a school, then you do 3 campuses during the day, you do a school in the afternoon, you do a tube station in the afternoon, you do a hustings meeting in the evening, and then we fit in a few other engagements as well.
Pubs?
Well, I was going to say, this is the only engagement in the last 4 weeks where I've been given a pint of Guinness to sit down with. So it's got... it scores high already on that. When I'm marking the campaign, this will be a highlight. Yeah.
Good. Well, Pat, if you want more pints, you may have to join Reform, of course.
Yeah. No, well, there's a serious point on that. I do hope. We just saw recently elections across Europe, which of course we don't take part in anymore because let's not go there again. The rise of the far right is something I think people across the mainstream political spectrum would say we're worried about, and we definitely are. And we have to think. We sometimes have to put aside our political differences to think that there are greater goals out there, peace, security, and equality, and those are the things that we should all be striving for going forward.
Brilliant.
Well, I think we can all say yay to that.
Absolutely.
Andy, thank you so much for joining us.
Lovely.
Thank you. Yeah.
Good luck. You've got another couple of weeks, I think.
And ironically, we're going on to review the Furious Devotion by on a book about Shane MacGowan. So we're going to play a track by Shane. So we might as well dedicate it to the man here.
The greatest honour.
We're actually going to play the dark streets of London. Of course, luckily you've got the election in the summer, so you're not walking the dark streets like you did in 2019.
I've just been down Dalling Road by the dead old trees, so we will. So much of Irish culture is here in Hammersmith, and we're really proud of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.